Hey guys, Frizzy Brony here, and oh my god. Episode 23. We're so close to the end. I think because it's a three-parter finale, this is the last episode before we jump into the finale in proper, and I've decided I will be doing it split into 3 different episodes, because otherwise it's going to be about an hour long, and you guys don't want to sit through that. But let's not worry about that. That is coming up starting on Sunday, whether or not it's going to be 3 weeks in Sunday or they're all going to do it once. Right now, we are living with, it's such a good episode. The Big Mac question. Even that title alone just sets you up for what it's going to be. Admittedly, as much as I don't read synopsis and spoil myself, given the amount of articles that were going up about shipping and all of that sort of stuff, coupled with that, it kind of gives it away from the title, but oh my days. Big Mac proposing to Sugar Belle. It's such a sweet episode, and it's really weird the way they did it as well. They could have done it like a normal episode, but they went for the whole 21 short stories about Springfield and having anecdotal accounts of each side of the story before we get to a conclusion. I love it. But we have to start at the beginning and work our way through, and it starts out rather confusingly with an upset Spike and a disgruntled Discord trying to justify to an unseen observer just what has happened and what their actions were. And we glean through their flashbacks and their stories that both Discord and Spike were privy to Big Mac in some upcoming event, and through going into the flashbacks, we find out just what that is. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yep. No.
I'm not gonna.
I was right.
Eat what?
Oh, Big Mac's proposing! Yep, we see Big Mac has an engagement ring and he is planning a proposal. Something that's meant to be kept a secret, although thanks to Discord, that kind of notion goes right out the window, because Spike manages to contain himself, however.
Big Mac is going to propose to Sugar Belle. Sugar Belle. Sugar Belle.
Oh god. And thus the whole town knows. It's the Dumbledore method of secrets. It's a secret, so naturally the whole school knows. So we see that Big Mac is planning a wonderful little gesture for Sugar Belle, using a table made to the same specifications as the shelf that he made for her. We see that he has a trail of clues all tied to apples that lead on a sort of scavenger hunt to the next clue before it comes to this, and he's going to propose on this table overlooking the acres. It's going to be an absolutely beautiful, beautiful event. However, first and foremost, the apples need to be distributed. And that job falls down to Spike and Discord. So naturally, you know, it's not going to go according to plan, as we see things start to devolve pretty quickly with Discord just being lazy.
I'll get the food. How long will it take you to place all the apples? Are you sure you put them in the right spots?
Those terrible riddles on the apples were very clear on the location. I'm sure that they were placed properly.
So, they're trying to devise a way to distribute the apples, and rather than actually going from place to place to place and placing them down, Discord just decides to use his magic to send them away. And that doesn't work. It seems we place them, and Sugar Belle just doesn't see it. She runs straight past them, and so they have to formulate another way of getting her to notice. And, never let Discord try and do a simple task, because he will make it needlessly complicated. And so while he is talking, or going about trying to set the apples and find a way to get Sugar Belle to notice, we see that Spike is hanging around with Mrs. Cake, who seems to be a little bit distracted in it herself. She seems to be doing something.
Cake. I need to pick up a few things.
Oh, I'm afraid you'll have to wait. I'm a bit busy at the moment. Oh, is this sour cream or sweet cream?
Ew. So we see that she is baking up a frenzy with 21 desserts. Each one of them needs to have a message placed inside. And this is where you start to twig that there might be converging plot lines. Because we saw Sugar Belle run out of Mrs. Cakes. Now she's doing a thing with messages. So we see that Spike is trying to help her set up her sort of jobs before she can help him. And in doing so, might accidentally have made things worse himself.
Delivering parchments is my thing. A little dragon breath and whoosh. We deliver each scroll into each dessert. Then you can help me. Watch. Ta-da!
And thus we return to Discord, whose fantastic way of getting the message around is to make the apples sentient. Although unfortunately, once again, he hasn't made it clear enough who they need to target, and so havoc absolutely ensues as these apples run around screaming their messages of love at just random passers-by. And so it quickly goes to chaos.
What in the blazes is going on?
Oh, that is too precious. 2 weddings!
Oh, are you finally finished? I've been done for a while.
And so, with a click of his fingers, the apples are gone. Problem solved, right? Well, no, not really. Because in their frustrations to get the two parties together, because they quickly find out what was going on, they converge the two storylines. Although we're going to stop there for now, because the episode decides to take a different track, as we've seen Discord and Spike's side. Now we swap to the Cutie Mark Crusaders, as they've spent the entire episode trying to help Sugar Belle with her proposal, as that's what we find out she was doing. Now, pretty much like Big Mac is planning his one based on the shelf and everything else that he did for her, Sugar Belle is doing the same thing, based on the less than favourable circumstances that happened on all of their other ones, such as Hearts and Hooves, and all the other times that they sort of try to do a gesture. And now she's going to do it by making pies and desserts, each with a little message in, to propose to him. Although she is really banking on the fact that he has a big appetite to go through 22 desserts before finding the final message. Otherwise, that is a waste of good dessert. Regardless, though, they start the segment with Mrs. Cake whipping up all these desserts, and we see the reason why they bolt out is because they see Spike and Discord and fear that they will blab everything. And so they make their break to try and set up their little plan. And once again, Apple Bloom proves that her and Discord do have something in common.
Why would they suspect that we're holding an invitation pie and that Mrs. Cake is making a 21 dessert proposal? I can't believe I'm gonna have a sister-in-law!
Yeah, she can't keep her mouth shut either, but the Cutie Mark Crusaders are determined to help Sugar Belle out, as they pretty much were catalysts for all of the negative experiences in the past, and so they want to rectify this. So naturally, they are going to try their best to help Sugar Belle with hers.
You know, when I'm looking for something, Granny says it's best to check the least likely place. Come on!
Oh no.
Screwdriver!
So we see that briefly once again in the course of them trying to set theirs up, the plot lines do cross, as they encounter Big Mac while he is looking for a screwdriver to finish off his project. And because of that, they're trying to find him. And so the Cutie Mark Crusaders spend their time going around town to try and locate Big Mac, which, as you know, will not go according to plan. Until they figure out that probably staying in one location, a central location, is probably best for finding who they're looking for. And, well, this is where the plots do converge.
I bet you're wondering what...
Sugar Belle!
Big Mac?
Discord? Mrs. K?
What did I do?
Nothing. I thought we were just saying each other's names.
Now, unbeknownst to us, the giant apple that is encroaching on the lovebirds is the result of discord. You knew it was going to be. All of the little apples, when they come into contact with one another, seem to have merged into this giant conglomerate of apple-shouting love. And it seems to be approaching all of them quite rapidly. And so it's a case of just trying to figure out what was going on, and naturally the apple blurts out that they were trying to propose to each other, and the blame game goes around between whose fault it is. Spike for burning the pie messages, Discord for the apples, the Cutie Mark Crusade. It just goes around. And then we find out that the two lovebirds have actually slipped away during all the madness.
Oh, yay! I'm sorry, Sugar Belle. I wanted everything to go right today. I wanted our love to be as perfect as my parents was when they planted these two trees together. Instead, it turned into a mess. Just like when I asked you out, just like Hearts and Hooves Day. No matter how hard I try, I always seem to mess up when it comes to you.
Yeah, they return to the tree, and it's so heartwarming to see that. I really do regard the episode with the parents as one of the most brutally heart-wrenching, tear-jerking, beautiful episodes of the entire show. Hands down. And just seeing that tree once again gets those feelings just welling up a bit. So to see that Big Mac and Sugar Belle end up there, to have their heart-to-heart, really is something to just get those emotions flowing, because they bring up the parents and how they wanted it to be perfect. And Sugar Belle seems to know more about the Apple family history than anyone, because she's like, yeah, they went through a lot more hard times and difficulties than what we're going through. And they made it work, so we can. And that's where we fast forward to find out that the unseen narrator that everybody was talking to throughout the episode is actually Applejack.
And when all the planning and grand
There are
gestures go
several
wrong, it
things
reminds you
wrong
the
there.
most romantic things are usually the simplest.
Which is what I knew all along. You're welcome.
Aww.
I'm sorry if it seems like I'm skipping through the episode at this end part, but it really is just such a beautiful ending that you can't do it justice, because we find out they're talking to Applejack right after they propose to each other, and then we immediately fast forward to find out it's Applejack at the wedding, where she is acting as the best man, technically? I mean, I understand the whole giving away and how weddings work, but Granny Smith should have been there rather than Applejack, I believe. Applejack should have been in the audience, but the roles are reversed because Applejack is more relevant to the main cast, so we understand that. But they decide to have their wedding at the family tree, and it is just beautiful.
It is my sincere pleasure to say, for my second Apple family wedding, that I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
And then Discord.
That's your cue.
Happy marriage, happy apples, happy marriage.
Discord.
Oh, just let me have this one.
And, yeah, that's it. That is the episode. It ends with the marriage of Big Mac and Sugar Belle. So, I've got to say, this episode, as much as it is a basic could go anywhere episode like the past few have been, given the weight and the gravitas of this and the event that happens, it skyrockets it up to being far more poignant, especially because despite being an episode that could have slotted in anywhere, it's one that's been built up over seasons worth, because we've had many episodes of Big Mac and Sugar Belle doing their coupley thing. And so to see it culminate in a marriage is kind of a big deal, especially in a series where a lot of the pre-established couples are married. We've got Mr. and Mrs. Cake. So to see one of the very few male characters that started off pretty much as a secondary character, bit part, and single, to go through the rigmarole of actually finding a partner, dating, and now getting married, it's a massively big thing, and they handled it so well by making it funny, making it emotional, making it something that is partially relatable to anyone who's tried to think of a way of how to do the perfect proposal. And I've got to say that it just, on my ranking, this episode has to get an 8 out of 10. It's the quality of it over the quantity, which a lot of the other episodes have been absolutely lacking in, which is why over the last couple we've been getting 5s and 4s and 6s. But this is a solid 8. That's up there. It's a fantastic episode, and I want to know if there is any little details that I missed that you saw. In fact, because I'm doing this right after watching the episode, I couldn't even follow up on my was that Lyra and Bonbon having their own proposal in the background. I'm going to go back and watch it now that I've finished doing this, and I will edit in the clip. Yep, Lyra is proposing to Bonbon in the background of the apple chaos. That is so sweet! Oh my god, I love it! I just love it. So that is confirmed 2 relationships. It proves that every instance of Lyra and Bonbon from season 1 up till this point is them as a canon couple. Or you could see it as a progression of friends into a canon coupling. I am now bumping this episode straight up to a 9. Screw what anyone else says. The fact that we have got Big Mac getting married, the confirmation that Octavia went on a date with Biceps is just hilarious. The Discord inclusion, not gonna lie, that always makes an episode better. But the fact that we have Lyra and Bonbon canonized as a couple, to having them proposing in the background, even if it is just a background mention, this episode is a solid 9 from me. Forget what Past Me said. Now, is there anything else that I missed, guys? Do let me know in the comments down below. What did you think of this episode? Did you love it as much as I seem to? Once again, let me know down below. Share this around. Make sure you like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. It's always nice to try and grow the viewership. And until what I assume is going to be the start of the finale, bye-bye.
Comrades, amigos, come on!
The 3 caballeros.
Listen up. Each of you has a job.
Go, General
Take a
Discord.
look at your stem.
What the hell? Discord, what have you done?
Big Mac! How is Sugar Bell supposed
I kind of want to believe that that was Rarity.
We can't even fathom. I just had the most peculiar dream.
That's nice, Granny, but we really need to find Big Mac, so...
It was about grandparents, wasn't it? And we were in outer space on some kind of mission to explore a strange new world.
If we get stuck listening to Granny, we'll never find Big Mac.
And Mudbriar was there, being as logical as ever. For his ears was all horny-like, and then Discord showed up, and, well, you know, it was pretty much the same. Well, she was all green, and then Grandparent looked at me all dramatical and says, where no pony has gone before. And whoosh, away we flew. Of happy marriage, happy apples.
Okay. That was an episode